Hey everyone, quick little note before I show off this episode. I'm editing it currently, and I just noticed that the video is extremely grainy. Nothing changed. We had this video setting right here, which should be crystal clear and is. And we went to record the episode, and it looks like trash. So, sorry in advance, but didn't want this content to go to waste, especially because Jeff Morris is awesome, his new book's out, and I want you all to see it. So enjoy the grainy video, but it'll be worth it in the end. Welcome back to the BentBox YouTube channel. I am Chris, and I am here with the author of True Believer.
My name is Jeff Morris, and I wrote True Believer, and I'm quite aware that Chris is pointing a box cutter towards my direction, not too pleased about that.
OSHA is not happy with us.
But I wrote True Believer here, and we just finished our Kickstarter and about to ship this out, and just very happy to work with Chris and BentBox. Thank you for giving me the chance. I did a fist bump. You missed it. Thank you, sir. We'll come up with a good handshake later.
Yeah, sounds good. A little minus knife.
Yes, please.
Sans knife. Anyway, so figured we would. Jeff is down for the weekend to hang out. We're shooting some content, and then we just did a live AMA, which was a lot of fun. Thanks everyone for watching and commenting and asking questions. We're doing a con tomorrow, which we're super excited about. Yeah. John's gonna be Jeff. John will be there too, though.
Yes.
But Jeff will be bringing True Believer along, try and get some interest for it and see if we can make some sales for him and just spread the love. So we're excited for that. It's going to be awesome tomorrow. Today, I have some nifty we're going to start the video off with some nifty gifties for John. Jeff.
You're going to have
to... I'm not cutting any of this. It's because, dude, I'm tired and I have a headache. And I appreciate you. I'm feeling it. Anyway... Do we have too many J guys?
There's too many J's.
There's two Johns and then a Jeff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so nifty gifties. I got this. So like Jeff said, True Believer will be shipping out shortly. And
shout out as you're cutting, and this is just to protect myself from the box cutter.
I should have cut it earlier.
No, I'm just worried for myself. But shout out and thank you so much to all the Kickstarter backers, who made this possible. Literally would not be possible to have a print version of this comic, to give to backers without everyone who supported. So thank you so much for just supporting me, shouting me out. It means the world to me. Just makes me want to keep going and make comics to know that, you'll be there to have my back. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it got some huge love. I've seen a ton of people comment on it and some reviews that are super heartfelt. So I think it's definitely having the impact that you were hoping. At least I think so.
Well, consistent thing, and I don't know if this is good or not. I don't know if I take pride in it, but maybe I do. Is a lot of crying, a lot of tears and stuff, and so I don't want to purposely do that.
Jeff
but
just
if
wants
it happens,
to make you cry. That's all he wants. This is his whole goal. All right.
Wow.
Gift number one. Here is a roll.
Thank you so much.
Of packaging tape with the BentBox logo on it, including featuring Dirt Mountain as the T.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Thank you so much,
you can
man.
Package your shipment of True Believer, and you guys should see a pretty cool little custom shipping.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. We'll just do handshakes now. I don't know. I think the whiteness is a little too much for...
The fist bump worked better. I didn't have to reach as far.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, this looks great.
No problem.
It looks awesome. Thank you.
I ordered myself a bunch, so I got a second package for you. That way you can use it because uniformity as a publisher. Second nifty gifty.
2?
So obviously
Christmas is coming in January here.
Everyone can see. I don't know if you can see it with my mic, but anyway, I got a new shirt. We got new shirts. So I got Jeff.
Thank you.
A new shirt as well. Let me double check. Yep. New shirt as well.
The goal will be to fit in this thing.
It's a little tight. I wasn't expecting it to be this tight, but Jeff said XL, and I got him an XL.
Thank you so much. Check with me in a couple months when I've hit my resolutions.
Maybe it's an incentive.
Yes, it is to be. That looks awesome, man. Thank you so much.
I get you a small. I'm like, here you go, Jeff.
I know.
I'm not trying to say anything, but here, try and fit
fruit only diet at that point.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This looks awesome, man.
And then I have another one.
What?
So this one is
Looks so great.
for your comic.
Wait, what?
So we got the True Believer shirt.
Whoa!
So the front is just the heart logo.
I like that. Yeah.
The sleeve says BentBox Comics
Yes.
because we got to plug our own stuff, and then the back has the True Believer.
That's really cool. Thank you so much.
If you like it,
Maybe I might wear that one. It's a little bit looser.
It actually is looser.
It's
actually much looser.
I'm trying to feel good about my body, and I think that shirt's going to be the one that helps me.
They both say XL. What does that say?
This is like a muscle shirt, from what I can tell. This is XL as well, but it's got that tight fit to it.
It's like slim fit XL.
Yeah.
Same exact everything. Liars. This does look looser though, doesn't it?
I'll try them on in the mirror. Maybe we'll do like a selfie video. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. We're doing fist bumps. Okay. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me, man.
No problem.
And especially being part of the team, the BentBox stuff, and having Dennis's art from Dirt Mountain on there, and then just having my own first collection of comics to a shirt for that, dude. That's a cool way to memorialize it. So thank you so much.
I got one for myself, you, and John.
Wow.
So we all can match.
Yes, that's the goal here.
We don't have to, but I might wear this tomorrow, or I might try that because that does look looser, and this is tight.
You're doing good. You're filling out well.
My man boobs aren't really exactly what I was hoping to show off in this video. But anyway, so that was Nifty Gifties.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for joining the team.
Yeah.
Super excited about True Believer. Proud of how well it's done. Looking forward to some future success.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem. And then that's the beginning of the video.
Okay.
Yes. What's the end of the video? The end of the video is going to be up to Jeff.
Who is John?
Shut it. You know I'm having a hard mental time right now.
So the video is still going.
Oh, yeah.
And I appreciate anybody watching. Thank you so much for sticking with us.
Yeah.
No, couple topics I had that I thought would be interesting to talk with about you. Would be the first one might be, we get this question a lot, from writers we talk to or at cons of like, hey, if you want to start making comics, right?
Yeah.
What are kind of some tips would you give people to kind of get started? We meet a lot of people who want to get into making comics but don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So that might be an interesting thing to talk about, is maybe where's a good place to start? What's some maybe good mindsets or tips, strategies when you're kind of first starting out as a potential comic creator?
That's a good question. I don't pride myself in not having a good answer for this, because I've always been kind of I've been a self-taught person. Mm-hmm. That's typically how I do things. Mm-hmm. I'll look at examples. I'll try and research as best as I can, mm-hmm. but I should follow tutorials a lot more than I do, or I should look up writing classes more than I do. Mm-hmm. But I typically, I've always been the type of person to just do it.
Sure. Yeah.
So trial by fire has always been, that's
absolutely
the story of my life, is trial by fire. Mm-hmm. So like with Artificial was my first book. That was, I had so many ideas just on a notepad. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen a comic script before. I had never seen one. Wow. I really don't want it to be released what my comic scripts look like. Sure. For all I know, they're really bad or not traditional or whatever. Mm-hmm. But so I just started writing. I do have some experience writing screenplays.
Oh, okay.
So I almost like kind of mentally extrapolated that as like, okay, a screenplay seems like, because it's focusing on a lot of viewpoints or like camera angles, interior settings, little descriptors. I feel like writing a comic book script would be similar. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then I just kind of did it based off that. Yeah. I did find a software though. I did do a life hack. It's called Superscript. Mm-hmm. It is a paid software, but it's a one-time paid licensing fee of like $20. Oh yeah. And really, it works almost like anything. Like you could set up a macro or any kind of thing in a Google Doc or Microsoft Word to do what it does. Okay. but it's just nice.
Yeah,
It's
simplifies the process.
Yeah, like when you press and like putting in dialogue, everything, like it boldens the character's name,
It's
and then
very helpful.
it's just extremely helpful. So that I think was the biggest help starting. But when it comes to like actually getting started, it depends on the type of person you are, I guess. Like you could very easily, if you're a go-getter kind of just do it yourself kind of person, just start. That's all I can say. So like if you're a writer, start writing. It doesn't necessarily need to be pretty. It doesn't need, your first draft, like many people say your first draft is going to be garbage.
Yes.
That said, I will say Artificial 1, that was my first draft. But it's just and it was because I knew exactly what I wanted.
Sure. You had a clear vision.
Now Artificial 2 went through like 3 or 4 drafts.
Yeah.
So that's when I felt like, okay, I'm getting the hang of it. I'm understanding what I need to be doing. Artificial 1 is what I wanted. So like, it's not even like man, I should have done a second draft. No, it's just, that's what I wanted. I might have gotten lucky. But yeah, be willing to critique yourself, just put words on a paper and just write. And it can be anything from doing the book, as in page 1, panel 1, yada, yada, or the what is it called? Lore Bible, like trying to figure out what the setting is, every single ancillary character, every single main character, before even putting words on paper.
Yes, the pre-planning is important.
There's tons of ways to do it. I don't know if there's a right way. Do you think that there's like a way that, I mean, maybe there's a way that's probably best, but not necessarily like, don't do it this way, do it this, you know what I mean?
As far as script writing or just breaking in comics?
Just doing it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things I see that aren't productive for people starting up.
True.
And so it's more like I see people making decisions that aren't going to benefit them for, like attracting readers. And we've talked about this of really, with starting out, the biggest thing in comics, I would say, is you have to know it's a visual medium.
Yes.
And, there's lots of debates sometimes online about who gets the most credit. I'm one of the people that I clearly, if you look at what's behind us, have no problem giving most of the credit to the artist.
100%.
Because that is the thing that's always going to get somebody to want to read what you wrote, right? Nobody's going to want to read what you wrote if the art's not up to standard. So I think just kind of realizing that when you go into writing for comics, it's a visual medium. And so the way you write it has to be favoring the image. And with what comes with that as well is pacing, right? And so there are, I would say, structural things that when you're first starting out that you kind of need to maybe spend some time researching, or just a simple way is look at the comics that really resonate with you and start breaking down what they're doing page by page. I've heard people say you could even write down what was on the page, but if you start doing that, you'll see kind of what the great authors do, and you can kind of emulate of like how a page turn works, or how pacing works. Like, why did we build to the splash page, right? So studying, I think, is pretty important. Like just really enriching yourself and kind of not comics lore, but like the greats of comics, the most effective people, kind of learning from them, and then just getting some of the structural stuff down for how visually comics should work. But I think once you do that, then I 100% agree with you of like, you just got to do it and be gracious with yourself. No, it's not maybe going to be the most amazing thing, but if it's something you're proud of and that you learned, then you got another one after that you can kind of, keep working at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do. I've always loved the what is it? The term kill your darlings, where you can't always be attached to an idea. You have to be willing to sacrifice things in the creation process to make sure it's a better final product. And then the other thing is, like, I mean, some people, when they get into it, they look for that money grab kind of idea of like catering to a specific thing. I'm sure you'll be successful in a way, but one of my main thoughts, and John mentioned this earlier in the live stream, is like when you're getting into it, I would really focus on just what you're passionate about. What do you want to read? What do you want to put into the world that's already in your heart or in your mind, or the expression of you that you're going to put on the paper? That will typically, most of the time, not guaranteed, but typically that will result in a product that feels more personal, more fleshed out, more engaging, just because it feels like there is love, care, and effort put into it.
Yeah.
So, that when you're getting started, pick a project that you're really interested in, a subject you're really interested in, characters you're really interested in, get it all fleshed out. Make sure you do a little research. That's always smart. I mean, I did a handful when I went to get started of just looking over different pages. Understanding terms is not necessarily needed, like gutter and like all these little terms isn't necessarily needed, but it is helpful,
Very helpful.
to describe the script as you move through it, especially when you're giving it to an artist. So it's just good to have that. It's kind of easier. So little things like that are helpful, and then you write, and that's it. So or draw if you're. I mean, because we're speaking as writers.
Yes.
I would love to. I cannot draw, so I would wish I could, and I say that with people who say like, "Well, put the time in, and then you can." I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think I was made for it.
Sure.
So,
But that's such a good point you bring up about when you're writing it, thinking about that somebody has to draw this,
Yes.
right? So you have to think about if you've put a load of dialogue, right? But
Yes.
your panel is already very busy,
Yeah.
and you say you have 9 panels on the page, right?
Yeah.
And you're cramming the artist is going to really struggle to do that. And so that goes back to like page economy,
Yeah.
right? Of like how many words can fit in with this page. And a lot of that you can just look at comics that really work and see how they're just pacing dialogue with the amount of panels on page and different things like that to just know like, this isn't going to work if I just.
Yeah. I mean, I worked with an artist named Gabriel Fonseca with Artificial and with an upcoming book called Sundown. And the thing that I noticed with him, I love his art so much. So this is another advice for a writer, is as long as you have a good artist, because sometimes, no offense, I mean, you might not have a person who's understanding your vision as well.
Sure.
Or just, I don't know, might be phoning it in. I've had those artists. You can't really help it. But if you have an artist that you are partnered with in a way that like it's very complementary, you're working well together, feel free to allow them creative liberty.
Amen to that.
That's something,
I can't agree anymore.
That's something I did from the beginning.
Artists love that.
Well, I said that to Gabriel. There was a couple where, and I almost felt lazy, which I don't know if maybe some people would call it lazy, but there are some panels where I was like, I gave the most basic description.
Sure.
And then like in parentheses, do something cool.
Yeah.
And I just said, hey, this is your panel. Show off what you can do.
Yeah.
The point A to point B is happening. This beat is already done, so this just needs to get us to the next page. Do something cool. And 9 times out of 10, Gabriel just freaking did something awesome. And it's not something I would have written or described in the first place. So I'm like, made it better.
And that gets to a question I've gotten before, sort of related. It's like how to find an artist.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've had to work at. And I think one thing that you can think about with artists is you want to find the best fit for your story, right? So you may have an amazing artist, amazing skill. Maybe they're blown up on Instagram or whatever. But do they fit your story? So for example, with True Believer, all these stories have a lot of facial expressions, right? And a lot of kind of more intimate moments. And so I really need somebody who could do those more emotional expressions. And then also I use color a lot throughout, right? To kind of control the emotion or kind of show what the emotional journey is. And so there's lots of great artists that I looked at, but they didn't necessarily fit that more quieter, intimate storytelling. Right. Amazing artists would be great on another project. And so a lot of it is just finding the best fit. But then once you kind of find that person, reaching out through emails, that whole process of like pitching to an artist is a whole process too, of like getting them to want to even work on your stuff as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like I found Gabriel by scouring. So I didn't really know where to go. That's a good point, because I didn't really know where to go to find an artist either.
Yeah.
I kind of I did the very boomer thing of going to Ask Jeeves. No, going to Google and going like comic book artists for hire or something like that.
Sure.
And you end up getting your Fiverr and your what's the other one? Upwork or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of ones that are always kind of sketchy. You'll find someone on there every once in a while. Like I think John's found people on there that are good and they're trustworthy.
Yeah.
I kept going through profiles and I'm like, nah, this all looks sketchy. Then I went to Behance.
Nice.
You've heard of Behance?
I've looked at it. I've never found anybody.
So Behance is interesting. I think it's by Adobe. It's not on and popping. It's kind of like ArtStation, but not as good.
Yeah.
So
I've looked at ArtStation. That's been a little bit
good.
better.
Yeah,
ArtStation's reliable.
I think I just found Behance. I don't even know why, but I actually found Gabriel on Behance. He had a really cool Spider-Man picture that he drew, and I was really like interested in the style. It was unique. The proportions were there, which is I'm a huge fan. If the proportions are off, I have a very hard time with your book, or my book, anyone's book.
Yes,
it's hard. So
it's just the basics.
It's the basics.
You see that they can just do the basics.
He knows how a human being looks. It's important.
Yeah.
So it was just really well done, very interesting. I immediately reached out to him through Behance, which took like 3 weeks for him to mess because it's not something he uses. It was like something he just threw a picture on once.
Yeah.
But I will, all that to say, you can kind of find him anywhere. You just have to know all the different avenues to look through. And that can be, right now, my favorite place to look is Instagram.
Yeah.
So right now, I just look through Instagram. I follow an insane amount of artists.
Yep.
I follow specific hashtags, accounts, and I am constantly pops up new artists, and I'm looking through. I was like, man, it's awesome. Follow, and I'll reach out. Hey, are you interested? What are your page rates? Which is something you can ask. You can develop a little bit of a rapport. Be like, hey, I'm interested in making a project right now, making a comic book. Could you offer me your page rates?
Yeah.
Yada yada.
And I'd say real quick in that, give a timeline of when you want to do it.
Yes.
Because if they're working on other projects, they can kind of know like, hey, I have this window of opportunity. That's very important.
That's what you say. Ask for availability. Like, what's your schedule like? Would you be interested in working in a project? What's your page rates? You kind of just have a little bit of a business chat with them, just to talk about the specifics, or not the specifics, but the basics.
Yeah.
And then once things start going well, then you just start working with them. It's interesting. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love, but maybe I'm just very lucky. I found amazing artists.
Yes.
So I love working with artists, especially most of my artists are foreign. They're Brazil, Mexico. I'm talking to one right now in Chile. I'm really excited about his stuff. It's awesome. But just the idea that like I can be here and chat to some dude in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
And we're talking about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man while he's making my comic book. It's like a weird, surreal experience that I love doing. Like I miss it because we haven't done artificial in a little bit. We're still on hold on that. But yeah, there's a give and take to the whole artist thing. So you're going to run into people who aren't super communicative. Hard word. I'm a writer. It would look better on paper. So you're going to run into that, and you just kind of have to work around it. Sometimes you have to cut ties. Sometimes you just have to find new artists. But that's where you go. I would go. ArtStation's cool, even though it has a lot of AI now.
Oh, okay.
A lot of AI. Instagram so far is my favorite.
Yeah.
And then if you're scooping the bottom of the barrel, go to Behance, go to Facebook, go anywhere.
I would say Instagram probably co-signing that, I guess, is I think that's the best now because artists are usually pretty active on there.
Yes.
So if you send a message, you have a higher response.
Yes.
But that is something you mentioned kind of about the response time. If they are active on Instagram, and maybe don't respond to you in months or something, that's like, don't hold up on it. You should be, when looking at artists, don't just maybe have one person in mind.
I have a
like,
bunch.
like have few people, and you'll have your top choices, right? Yeah. But they might have a project. They might not want to take a risk because you're brand new.
Yeah.
And so one thing I tried to do at the beginning was really telling the person why I wanted them, and why I thought they were a great fit. So, kind of conveying that I thought their style would be perfect for this book. And so trying to, because you're selling yourself a little bit, especially
Yeah.
when you don't have anything published.
Yeah.
You can't just go like, well, read my stories to see I'm good. So they're taking a big risk too
Yeah.
on this unknown person of you paying them and you being communicated. So you kind of want to give a sense of professionalism and, communicate really well with them.
Yeah.
Communicate consistently to show that on your end, you're going to uphold things. You're going to be a reliable person in this partnership.
It's just a wild thing. Now I think the amount of like variables that come into play of just like two people doing something is kind of nuts.
It's
and the
beautiful too.
It's beautiful, and the fact that it even gets done is a miracle.
It's amazing. Well, my artist in True Believer, the second one, Daniel Ramirez in Chile.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's cool because throughout the process, we just communicate through email because he didn't think his English was, up to the level.
True.
But recently we became like great friends and we've communicated through video.
Yeah.
And we were like, why didn't we do this the whole time?
I know. It's awesome. Like Gabriel, I prefer, I kind of like to use my hands. The way I talk is kind of very expressive. Like I need to, and I like being able to see people. I read faces and I'm watching your mannerisms, and that's just I'm a big fan of public speaking. Like I'm one of those weirdos who likes public speaking.
Strange.
It is. I like speech class is speech class was my favorite thing in high school. Like getting up in a play. I played the devil once in a play. We're getting really off. But I like speech and talking to people and seeing their faces, face to face communication. So, like John, I think primarily only does emails. I think I've asked every artist I work with, I was like, can we jump on a Discord call, video chat? I just like that. It helps me to connect with the person better. I can kind of see their engagement level as we speak. I can kind of get a feel for their interest level. Like there's just a bunch of things that I really enjoy about a video chat, being able to see someone. So I mean, that's how I advise to do it. It's just more personal.
Yeah, and this is a personal partnership.
Yes.
Right? They're taking a lot of their time, even though you're paying them, they're taking a lot of their time to kind of like invest in you, invest in your future.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whatever you can do to kind of, I think a lot of it's so much about trust.
Oh, yeah.
Trust is like the hugest thing. And so, whatever you can do as a writer to just instill that trust. One of the biggest things you can do to instill trust is to kind of set expectations at the very beginning. It's so important, and I think that's something I see, including myself, but writers coming up, that there's not clear enough expectations for deliverables. When can pages be expected to be delivered?
Yeah.
And if an artist is working on multiple projects, you want to kind of instill that safety of like, hey, if you're working on multiple stuff, that's cool, but just let me know when I can expect stuff.
Yeah.
Because you might have publishing dates, or like in my case, crowdfunding, and so there's just starting at the beginning with some expectations, and I do like a contract,
Yeah.
And kind of write up of like, how often will we communicate? How often, like with the process, how many revisions can we request? Stuff like that, just to safeguard yourself, but also give them a sense of like, okay, they know what to expect from me, that I'm not going to ask for 4 or 5 revisions on this page, that maybe the max is like 2 to 3, right?
Yeah.
And if it gets beyond that, then maybe we're not a good fit if I'm always asking for this amount of revisions. Or, hey, maybe I need a lot of revisions on this page, but I'm going to pay them a little extra because now I'm asking them to go invest a lot of hours extra in doing this. So just getting that out in the front, once you've kind of agreed to work together, I think can kind of lay a groundwork to prevent from future problems.
Yeah, for sure. That stuff's always smart. I didn't do it, but that's just because I'm not smart. Well, it was my first project, and even with issue 2, just because I'm so familiar with the artist now, we have more of a friendship than a working relationship. We still do, but a lot of it is he's very flexible. Mm-hmm. I allow him to be flexible, as in like, hey man, whenever you get those pages, that's fine.
Sure.
I'm not in a huge rush. I want it to look good. Mm-hmm. Tell me you're going to spend another 2 days on it and it's going to look a little bit better. Spend 2 days. I don't care at all. Like that's always been my mentality. It's smarter to do the kind of like line item version of it, just to make sure that we know exactly how this project should go. Mm-hmm. But like even for the revisions thing, I've had many times where I tweaked it here and there, and then I tried to just let it go for most of it, and then Gabriel was just such a good artist and so like accommodating that I want to say I paid, I'm not gonna. I paid him like a chunk extra at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the final payment, I just rounded up by a couple hundred or something, and it was literally just because you put up with my crap. Like if there were extra revisions that we weren't planning, you did a great job.
Yeah.
I really want to work with you again. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a bonus for finishing the project.
Absolutely.
So just treat your artists right. You know, treat them well. But I mean, like all that we can wrap in a bow of just like how to get into comics. So there's a lot of ways you can start, but you definitely need to do your research. You definitely need to have some form of game plan. Now, I typically write by the seat of my pants. Like I've mentioned that on a couple of our Discord chats where I don't like doing a layout for my book. I like doing a beginning, middle, and end. I know what the beginning is, I know what the middle is, and I know what the end is. Now, let me figure it out.
You're saying you don't like doing an outline?
No.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Sure.
And there are other writers like that. If it's your first book and you're newer to writing, I would recommend it just to kind of keep you on track, make sure that the end product is going to be what you want it to be. It'll also cut down on revisions typically.
Yeah. Well, part of the point of an outline or sketch or whatever is just to give you a foundation to build off it. And you're going to change your outline.
Yeah.
There's so many times I thought the story was done. And like one of these stories, this is like secret if this makes it to air.
It will.
It will, is True Believer was like supposed to have Santa Claus in there. I think you remember. It was
it was.
It was going to be like this noir detective story. And it was fun.
Still would have been pretty cool though.
Yeah, and I'm excited and I liked it, but I'm like, I have 11 pages, you know?
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted it to be essentially about grief at the holiday season. And so it's just kind of like you'll have your idea and then you get down to the scripting and you're like, what's practical? You know? And it goes back to I don't know if there's Kill Your Darlings or Keep It Simple Stupid, whatever one of those acronyms are.
Yeah.
Yeah, of just like you've got to get down to what's essential at the end of the day. And the outline gives you just something to get you moving, you know?
Yeah, so it's smart. So like make sure you have that. Find yourself an artist by looking at the different avenues we mentioned. Just make sure that when you are communicating with them, you're very professional, you're very direct. This isn't, there's some people who don't do this. They'll be like, hey, this isn't what I wrote. Like on the page, you know what I mean? The idea of us going, here, have some creative freedom, have some creative liberty. That's more of I feel like that's a good thing to do.
It's a good collaborator.
Yeah, it's just being a good collaborator, and it's not necessarily a rule, but it's a recommendation. Like, it's what I would do.
Yeah.
Trust your artist. It shows that you trust your artist, which right there is stepping off on a great foot.
Yes.
So find yourself a good artist, work with them as best as you can, and then at the end of the day, if you have questions or need help with marketing ideas or whatever, reach out. Typically, you can find another creator or myself as a publisher or whatever that is seeing some form of success that will be more than happy to be like, oh man, yeah, let me take a look. I've looked through a handful of books for people that just asked. They're like, hey, can you look over this? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yes.
I'll give them some notes. I'll be like, yeah, change this. This is great. Yada, yada. So like, especially us here at BentBox, honestly, and we mentioned this in an earlier video, we just want the community, the indie community to thrive. And so we're here.
Can I add to that real quick? You had a great button synopsis though.
That was the end of the video. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. No, you can blooper out.
Cut.
No, I think the biggest thing that you pointed out, I would say, if it's confrontational, I don't care. But if you're starting out, you have to be humble.
Be humble.
We're going to take Kendrick Lamar's words to heart and do that. I think as a first time creator, you have to be open to learning from others.
Yes.
You have to admit that there's people who have done this and, like you said, found success, and they found that success for a reason.
Yeah,
because they've been in your spot, but they've made decisions that have led them there. Exactly. And so if you present your script, it's fine to be passionate about it, believe in it wholly. But if somebody comes to you and it's just like, hey, this would really make the story better, at least just be open.
Be open.
open mind. Doesn't mean you have to take it 100% of the time, but just be open that, okay, do I trust this person wants to help me? Yes. Okay. Let me be open.
Yeah.
And just try to see this perspective. But I feel sometimes starting creators I found that I've interacted with, not all,
Yeah.
but some, like I've helped try to help them out, and they'll just defend like having so much dialogue on a page. And I'm like, all right, like, I'm just trying to help, but I'm being honest. Like, this page is like a non-starter.
Yeah.
You start your first page with this amount of bubbles, and this, starting pages with like, 10 panels, and it's just flooded with bubbles. I'm like, nobody's gonna turn that page, and I'm just like, I want people to read your book.
No one would even.
So let me help you cut this down.
I wouldn't even start reading. Like, I would be like, oh, it's too much.
Exactly, like starting with exposition.
It's just
of that.
A non-starter is a good point. Yeah. So just humility's a huge thing.
I think it's
for
us too,
underrated.
Of like, yes, you're always learning.
You're always learning. Even if you're at the top of your game, you can learn more things. So I think we should all be a little more humble.
Amen.
It'll only help in the long run. Anyway, so that's it. That was a fun one.
Thank you.
That was a little how to get into comics with Jeff Morris and Chris O'Hara of BentBox Comics.
Enjoyed it.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Comment below, all that stuff. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I always forget to do it. Check out our new site. Actually might be available by the time this is out. www.bentboxcomics.com, where by now True Believer probably will be on there. It should be. Well, I mean, maybe. That way you can
We'll see.
direct order it. But
This video gets 100 likes, and True Believer's dropping.
there you go. There you go. So make it happen, people. But all of our other stuff will be on there. Blossom, Orium, Artificial Series, our monsters. So go there for all of your BentBox needs, all your indie needs. But yeah, thanks for watching. Comment any advice down below. If you're a creator and you're like, hey, this helped me, or even a person, give shout outs. Be like, this creator really helped me in the startup process. I'm sure they would love to hear their name called out. We're all, as humble as we all are, we're also a little, we like to hear our names said every once in a while. But that's it. All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you next video.
See ya.
And that's it.
Fist bump. Real quick question.
Yo.
This is messed up. Are our crotches in this shot?
Actually, it's basically, no. It's like fupa height.
I don't mind. It's just, I don't, it's for my girlfriend's eyes only.
You're not really into crotch shots.
I'm not really a crotch shot guy.
And no, that's fine. No, I think it's like fupa and up. So we're good.
What's a fupa?
It's the like chubby part above the penis. So, welcome to BentBox.
That's got to stay in, bro.